I think we're in a good place.
We had a good performance against Botswana in our second game, so I think the players are looking forward to it. Sorry, no.
Good, I'm sorry. So I think we're in a good place. You know, we understand the importance of it, just like the last game. So spirits are high and the players perform well, so we want to build that momentum.
Okay, great. Tony, just from your side and the player side, how are things in camp at the moment? Finishing up or wrapping up the group stages?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think the confidence is really high. Things didn't go our way against South Africa, but after the game against Botswana, our confidence has definitely improved. We're just working on building, and that's going to be our goal for the next game as well.
Thank you. We will now take some questions. Do we have any questions from the media? At the back, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Nevin Adebayo. My question goes to against Botswana, you played as a left back. I want to ask, have you played any other role before now as a winger?
Yeah, in my club, I play as a right wing and a left wing, a forward. So playing as a left back here has been a pretty easy transition for me, and I'm ready to play in any position that I'm put here in the tournament.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Coach. My name is Jane Frances Mweze from Solid FM in Enugu. So my question, no negativity intended, but my question is, he already came to this tournament very aware of the Nigerian media. So I would like to know what gave up the impression, in what situations gave up the impression that the Nigerian media is negative?
Well, first let me say, I love the jersey you're wearing. That's my team, so I appreciate that. Although we have a lot of work to do, don't we? You know, I think the thing that I just want everybody to understand is I'm a real big believer in building the women's game, and I just think we need the media. Like the media is very important to us, and I'd like to see positive. You know, I mean, we all should be held accountable when we don't win and questions to be asked. But I think there's so many positive things about not only our team, the Super Falcons, the players individually, but all the teams in this tournament. And I think right now, as we try to grow the women's game, we just need as much positivity as we can. You know, we're still not viewed at the same level as the men's game, and those things for our coach sometimes can be frustrating because I think there's so many things that we could do better to promote our game than to just bury the players and bury the staff and bury the federation all the time. And so that's what I'm meant, and that's what I'm looking for. And we hope to do that. And again, we know the importance of the job that the media plays, and you know, we support that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, please.
Nicola from the Athletics. It's a question for both of you, really. I think it's you both, for both of you, your first WAFCON. Just in general, in terms of how you expected, how you found the tournament so far. Is there anything that has surprised you in a good way, in a bad way? Is there anything that has particularly stood out for you in the time spent here so far?
Yeah, for me, as it being my first WAFCON, obviously very excited to be here. I think that the tournament has been organized and done really well, and it's been really great so far.
Yeah, I think from a standpoint, from a coach, the organization that CAF has put on has been first class. I think it's comparable to any region in the world that I've seen. So we've been very impressed with the organization of everything. The hospitality of the Moroccan people has been outstanding. I guess some of the things that really surprised me is the facilities that we're using are fantastic. I don't know how many of you had the chance to be out to the FA, but those facilities are unreal, and the amount of support that they're putting into the women's game, I think is very evident by the way their team plays now. But I love to see that. I love to see that. What I was saying to you earlier about the media, I love to see that growth in the women's game, and it's very clear that Morocco is doing that. And I think it's been a great event for all of us from the standpoint of everything is in place for all the teams to have what they need to be successful in the tournament. So just hats off. I really have no complaints whatsoever.
Christian Young, Secretary, Gentlemen.
Yeah, Coach, we know.
Yeah, my name is Samuel Amadu. Basically, I want to find out from you. I don't know, it's the last game of the group, and I think mathematically Nigeria seemed through. But again, at this point, I don't know what could be your objective going against Burundi, and at the same time, we're seeing prospect of facing possibly Tunisia and Cameroon. So, what were you looking at? I think you've been talking about seeing how best to manage the strength of your squad. Going forward, what should we be expecting?
Yeah. This is when you get into the third game of the group and you start looking at points and possibilities, it's always decisions that the coaches and the staff have to make on, trying to balance. We still want to win. We want to build on the performance that we had in the second game. So you want a balance of keeping some continuity in your team, but at the same time, you've got to be careful. There's some players that you also want to try to rest a little bit. So that'll be the thing that the staff and I have been working on the last 2 days, is trying to get that right balance of, keeping and building on the last performance, because we know we'll need to build on that going into the quarterfinals, and whether it's Cameroon or Tunisia or whoever it is that we end up playing. And at the same time, being aware that some of our players have, played 90 minutes for both games, and it's a long tournament, and if you're fortunate enough to make it through 6 games, it's you have to be mindful of that. So these are some of the challenges of being a coach, and so that's kind of what we'll go into it with, is trying to find that balance, I guess, is the best way I can answer it. Yeah.
Okay, Coach, a quick one. Apart from Ashley, who had a knock in the last game, is there any other injury concern in the squad? We just want to know about the team news.
Yeah, no, like I told you before, she could have played last game if it would felt like we needed to get the result. And I think we'll take that same approach. I haven't really spoken to the doctor today to see how she's feeling. We have training this afternoon, so we'll kind of get an idea of where she is. But there's a good possibility we'll hold her again, just to make sure she's ready for the quarterfinal match. But at the same time, we would also consideration of giving her some time to make sure she gets some minutes under her belt before the quarterfinal match. So that's kind of going to be a medical decision that we'll make with the doctor. But again, if this were the quarterfinal right now, she would be playing. So she's capable of playing. It's just we also want to be smart about having her for the long haul.
Yeah, Coach. I have 2 questions for you, Coach. Well, going into the match against Burundi is very much the Super Falcons, and I don't have any pressure going into the match tomorrow. Again, since you're starting a new always positive, I want to see more set of players on the pitch tomorrow.
Well, you may see a few players different. I wouldn't expect massive changes. Like I said, we want to build on the continuity of the last game. But we also want to be mindful of some rest. But as far as the pressure goes, like I've said every press conference, I think, every game's pressure, right? And we're not looking at the mathematics, we're looking at it as we need to win to advance. And so that will be the approach that the team will take, is we must go secure the win first. And that's, look, they've scored on every opponent so far. They're fully capable creating problems for us, and we know that, and we have to respect that. So we can't overlook Burundi by any stretch of the imagination. We have to go into a very serious approach and knowing that we need to get a win.
Final questions, please.
Good afternoon, Coach. My name is Kalista from WFM. I have a question about arguably one of the best players in the WFL, Gift Monday. She's with your team, the highest goal scorer in the WFL, Super 6. She did get a good time at the game against Botswana. But against Burundi, are we going to see her come in with the first team, or she'll come in as second team? And secondly, Christy off the bench, fantastic header, first goal for the Super Falcons. Will she as well get a starting time this time around?
Yeah, no, good questions. These are all those things that, like I said, the staff's talking about. Christy came in and played great, as did Gift. You know, I guess the good thing that we have are a lot of options. You know, we have Uchenna Kanu that hasn't started for us yet, but she's a very good player, fully capable of starting as well. We've got a good young player with McLean's that got in the last few minutes, but we would like to see more of her. And then when you're looking at, you know, you have Ifioma, and you have Francisca, Ortega, and I mean, we've got a lot of talent. So managing which ones are the best combinations to play up front, I would expect you'll see them, whether some start or they don't. You know, that final decision hasn't been made yet. I would agree, Christy came in and played very well for us off the bench, but I also thought Regina O2 came in and played really well off the bench also. It was Ngozi Okobi's first start for us, and we know obviously she's been a mainstay in this team for a long time. So the good news is we have player options. We just need to make the decisions which ones we think are best, you know, a best combination together. But I would expect you would see those players to that tomorrow.
Thank you. Final question there, please.
So, Coach, Okay. So, Coach, I have two questions, and the first one is, now some people are of the opinion that your best substitution in this tournament have come from injuries. So, is that a suggestion that you're still getting to know the strength of the players? At the specific, Rita Chukwu has played the majority of the minutes in the last game, if not because she was injured. And we saw that Christy, was a better player in that position. Asisa Toshola, in I don't know how many years, have not been the most prolific player for the Super Falcons. And we had concerns that bar the injury may not have pulled her off to try other people. And that's, why the idea that the best substitution have come from injuries in this tournament. So is that a suggestion that you're still learning the strength of the players in this team after over a month and a half, after over a year and a half with the girls? That's one question. The second is, Michael Alazi is one yellow card away from missing a game. Would you risk her in this Burundi game, or probably rest her to be sure that she's available for the quarterfinal game?
Okay, I'm not sure who you asked me about with the yellow card. Who?
Michelle Alazi.
Mitchell.
Michelle, yes. I think that to answer your second question first, obviously you've always got to be concerned about the card situation. But at the same time, I think our players understand, and they have to learn to play with cards as well. That doesn't mean she's going to play or we're going to protect her. Those are parts of the conversation. Like I said, we haven't picked the lineup yet. We'll do that a little later today as a staff. To the first question, I guess the thing that all of whoever the people are that's asking these questions about substitution and players, I can only address it this way. Players have to show a consistency too, and if anybody's watched the team, and this is where I get a little frustrated because there was a lot of criticism, for example, of Ajabadi playing in midfield and people saying, well, she's out of position, and coaches playing a lot of players out of position. And But anybody that does their homework, that watches the top flight in Spain where she plays up front at times, and she plays in midfield at times. And with our team for the last year and 3 months that I've been here, she has been in midfield for us the whole time. So to me, I understand people look at it one game at a time and say, well, coach is making this mistake, and yet they don't do their homework. And so when you say things like that with Rita, and you say things with Uchibi, or any other players for that matter, I would just say this. Christy came on for us. We just got her really into camp, I think, prior to the Ivory Coast game. And so that was our first real time with her. And she came in that match off the bench in the away game and played very well in that leg. We go to Canada and we play 2 friendlies in Canada, and we give her a start in one of those games, and she doesn't perform well, right? So it's a little bit of that players establishing that consistency. You know, I think, so that's what I would say. You know, the first question for Tony today was about playing left back. You know, is that the first time you played that? Well, I think we know our players and their capabilities of where they can play. And she was, for me, one of the best players on the field against Botswana the other day, and nobody questioned her playing left back. So it's when you lose, you get a lot of questions, and when you win, everything seems to be good, and that's the nature of the beast. But just trust that we know the players better. We see them day in and day out. And I watch pretty much every game that our players are playing abroad with their club teams throughout the year. So we know what they're doing, we know where they're capable of playing.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, Tony. Good luck tomorrow with your match.
Thank you, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You don't get assistance. No be Nigeria only assistance.